The Ladder of Influence, Dark Psychology, Deep Dive. Introduction. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost, even though you were right? Or bought something you didn't need just because the salesperson was nice? You aren't unlucky. You were likely a target of dark psychology. Before we dive deep, a quick note. Even though this subject is scientifically complex, we have intentionally used the simplest terms and everyday language here. This is to ensure these concepts stick in your mind effortlessly and become practical tools for you. Today, we are going to climb a ladder. We start with small psychological nudges and climb all the way up to the most powerful mind control techniques used by history's most influential leaders. Rung 1. The trap of unwanted debt. Reciprocity. Let's start with something we all hate. Have you ever had a coworker bring you a coffee you didn't ask for, or a stranger give you a free sample? And suddenly, when they ask for a favor or a purchase 5 minutes later, you feel physically unable to say no. It feels like a heavy weight on your chest. Why does this happen? The root lies in our evolution. For thousands of years, humans survived by sharing. If a caveman gave you meat, you had to give him a tool later, or the tribe would kick you out. We are biologically wired to hate being in debt to someone. Manipulators use this intentionally. They give you a small, unasked-for gift to trigger that biological guilt. The defense? Stop seeing the gift as a generic act of kindness. Relabel it in your mind as a sales tactic or a transaction. Once you see it as a trade, the guilt disappears. As Dr. Robert Cialdini, the expert on persuasion, famously said, "The rule says that we should try to repay in kind what another person has provided us. But remember, you don't owe repayment for a trick." Key takeaway. If the gift wasn't requested, the debt isn't real. Rung 2. The am I crazy effect, gaslighting. Have you ever been in an argument where you clearly remember what happened, but the other person speaks with such confidence that you start checking your own memory? You think, maybe I did overreact? Maybe I am being too sensitive? This is a terrifying feeling of losing your grip on reality. Our brains prefer social harmony over factual conflict. When someone we trust denies reality with absolute certainty, our brain assumes we must be the broken ones. This is called gaslighting. It works best when done slowly. The defense? Do not argue logic with a gaslighter. They are fighting a war of emotion. The solution is external verification. Write things down. Keep a journal. When you have a physical record, their words cannot distort your reality. Think of the concept from George Orwell's 1984. He who controls the past controls the future. Don't let them control your past. Key takeaway. Your memory is valid. Trust the ink on the paper, not the words of the manipulator. Rung 3. The illusion of now or never. Scarcity. We have all been there. You are scrolling online, and suddenly you see, only 2 left at this price, or offer expires in 10 minutes. Your heart beats faster. You stop thinking, and you click, buy. This is the fear of scarcity. In ancient times, if you didn't eat the fruit immediately, it would rot. We are programmed to value things more simply because they are disappearing. Marketers create artificial scarcity to bypass your logic. The defense? The 24-hour rule. Whenever you feel urgency, force a pause. If the deal is real, it will usually be there tomorrow. Warren Buffett advises to be fearful when others are greedy. Key takeaway. Urgency is the enemy of logic. Pause implies power. Rung 4. The power of silence. Think about a time you were negotiating. You made your point, but then silence. You got nervous. You started talking again to fill the silence, and you talked yourself into losing. Humans view silence as rejection. We have a deep need to fill the void. The trick here is strategic silence. When you ask for something, state your case, and then shut up. Look them in the eyes and wait. The pressure will force them to speak, often revealing the truth. The defense? Count to 4 in your head. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. As stated in the 48 Laws of Power, always say less than necessary. Key takeaway. The person who speaks first after a negotiation loses. Rung 5. The chameleon effect, mirroring. Have you ever met someone and thought, wow, we are exactly alike? You trust them instantly, but later, you realize they don't actually stand for anything. We are narcissistic by nature. We trust people who look and act like us because it signals safety. Manipulators use mirroring. They copy your body language and tone. The defense? Do something weird. Scratch your nose abruptly. If they immediately do the same thing, they are consciously mirroring you. Chris Voss, former FBI negotiator, says, mirroring is the art of insinuating similarity. Key takeaway. If they act exactly like you, check if they have a personality of their own. Rung 6. The door in the face, anchoring. Someone asks you to volunteer at a charity event every single weekend for a whole year. You immediately say, no, I can't do that. They look disappointed, pause, and then ask, okay. Well, could you just help us for 2 hours this Saturday? You feel relieved and instantly say, yes. You just walked into a trap. If they had asked for the Saturday help first, you might have refused. But because you rejected the huge request, you felt a spike of guilt. When they backed down to a smaller request, your brain viewed it as a compromise. You felt obligated to say yes to meet them in the middle. The defense? Reset the conversation. Realize the first request was never real. It was a bluff designed to make the second request look tiny. Treat the second question as if it is the very first thing they asked. As Robert Cialdini, the author of Influence, explains, the drop from the large request to the small one is perceived as a concession which triggers a need to reciprocate. Key takeaway, don't let your guilt make their decisions for you. Rung 7. The cycle of addiction, intermittent reinforcement. This is common in toxic relationships. One day they are loving, the next day they are cold. You stay because you are chasing the high of the good days. This is intermittent reinforcement. Unpredictability creates addiction. If they were always mean, you would leave. By mixing hot and cold, they own you. The defense? Look for consistency, not intensity. Stable behavior is boring to the addicted brain, but healthy for the soul. Key takeaway, confusion is not passion, it is manipulation. Rung 8, triangulation, creating jealousy. You are in a relationship or job, and suddenly the other person starts talking about how great someone else is. You feel competitive and try harder to please them. This is triangulation. They bring a third person into the dynamic to make you feel insecure. The defense? The moment they bring up a rival to make you jealous, realize they are insecure. Do not compete. Withdraw. Key takeaway. If you have to compete for their attention, the prize isn't worth it. Conclusion. We have climbed the ladder. Reciprocity, gaslighting, scarcity, silence, mirroring, anchoring, intermittent reinforcement, and triangulation. Dark psychology isn't just about manipulating others. It's about understanding the map of your own mind so you don't get lost in someone else's game. Which of these pains have you felt recently? Tell me your story in the comments below. I read every single one. Goodbye.